Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's class. It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 5, which is entitled The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. And this morning we're doing text 21 and text 22. So I'll chant text 21, and then when we get to text 22, you can chant if you want to. So that's what we're going to do. In the meantime, we'll start right now. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivadadari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivadadari. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prima-netre Tāra Sati Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prima-netre Tāra Sati Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। Hare Krishna Mahamanta ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti Swami Namaste Krishna Varaya Prabhupada Sutratmani He Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirthanam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, he step on with obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 5, text 21. Prema-netre dekhe tāra svarūpa-prakāśa gopa-gopī-saṅge yāṅhā kṛṣṇera vilāsa. Word for word. Prema-netre, with the eyes of love of Godhead. Dekhe, one sees. Tāra, its svarūpa-prakāśa, manifestation of identity. Gopa, cowherd boys. gopi-saṅge, with the cowherd damsels. Yāṅhā, where? Kṛṣṇera vilāsa, the pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But with the eyes of love of Godhead, one can see its real identity as the place where Lord Kṛṣṇa performs his pastimes with the cowherd boys and cowherd girls. Text 22. Cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu kalpa-vṛkṣa, lakṣāvṛteṣu surabhīr abhipālayantam, lakṣmī-sahasra-śata-sambhrama-sevyamānaṁ, govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ ahaṁ bhajāmi. Cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu kalpa-vṛkṣa, lakṣāvṛteṣu surabhīr abhipālayantam, lakṣmī-sahasra-śata-sambhrama-sevyamānaṁ, govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ ahaṁ bhajāmi. Cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu kalpa-vṛkṣa, lakṣāvṛteṣu surabhīr abhipālayantam, lakṣmī-sahasra-śata-sambhrama-sevyamānaṁ, govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ ahaṁ bhajāmi. Hare Krishna. You can chant if you want. Just unmute yourself.
cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu kalpa-vṛkṣa, lakṣāvṛteṣu surabhīr-abhipālayantam, lakṣmī-sahasra-śata-sambhrama-sevyamānaṁ, govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tamahaṁ bhajāmi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu kalpa-vṛkṣa, lakṣāvṛteṣu surabhīr-abhipālayantam, lakṣmī-sahasra-śata-sambhrama-sevyamānaṁ, govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tamahaṁ bhajāmi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu kalpa-vṛkṣa, lakṣāvṛteṣu surabhīr-abhipālayantam, lakṣmī-sahasra-śata-sambhrama-sevyamānaṁ, govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tamaham bhajāmi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Anyone else? Please go on. Anyone else? All right, we'll do word for word. Cintāmaṇi, touchstone. Prakara, groups made of. Sadmasu, in abodes. Kalpa-vṛkṣa, of desire trees. Lakṣa, by millions. Aviteṣu, surrounded. Surabhi cows. Abhipālayantam, tending. Lakṣmī, of goddesses of fortune. Sahasra, of thousands. Śata, by hundreds. Sambhrama, with great respect. Sevyamānaṁ, being served. Govindam, Govinda. Adi-puruṣaṁ, the original person. Tam, him. Ahaṁ, I. Bhajāmi, worship. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending cows, yielding all desires, in abodes built with spiritual gems and surrounded by millions of purple trees. He's always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Hare Krishna. So we'll do something slightly different today. The purport, the reason is the purport is very long. And so I won't go into the purport right away, but we will get to the purport and we'll take it section by section. And by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, make some commentary on it. Right, so text 21 again, the English translation. But with the eyes of love of Godhead, one can see its real identity as the place where Lord Kṛṣṇa performs his pastimes with the cowherd boys and cowherd girls. So this is a place, it says, one can see its real identity as the place where Lord Kṛṣṇa performs the pastimes, the cowherd boys and cowherd girls. So this is about Vrindavan. There is Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan in the spiritual world, and then there's a replica of it also in this material world on this planet, and specifically in India. That place, even though in size, physically, it's much smaller than what's in the spiritual world. Everything that's in the spiritual world, Golok, is also there. So Krishna performs his pastimes there. But if many of us are in that situation, conditioned souls, we may go to the place, Vrindavan, but we have to have the eyes tinged with the love of Godhead, as Lord Brahma puts it, before one can see the identity of Kṛṣṇa performing his pastimes with cowherd boys, playing with cowherd boys, and also dancing with the cowherd girls. The way our minds, the way our hearts are now, we need a little bit more work for purification. Then, by the Lord's own will, we may be shown this. There are some of our gurus in ISKCON that have seen this, and I've even reported it. So the place is definitely there. But when you go, it looks like any other place, any other forest, any other city. But it's not quite like that. At a certain level, at a much higher spiritual level, the pastimes are going on between Kṛṣṇa and the pure devotees, cowherd boys and cowherd girls, who number in the millions. They are all there. Now, in text 22, more description is given. It is definitely cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu, but it's also in Brahma Samhita. So this particular text here, which is quoted in this cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu, is a very popular one. There are songs put to it, this very, 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 very interesting and very vivid description. Lord Brahma says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Lord of all lords, the first progenitor. It is through him that everything came to be. The word existence is there because of Kṛṣṇa. Without Kṛṣṇa, there's no existence. Another name for Kṛṣṇa is Govinda, one who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. He also has other names like Rishikesh, master of the senses. Govinda is the Lord that attends to the cows. And there's a saying, Mo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Again, worshipping and giving all obeisances to Govinda, the primeval Lord. He is merciful to cows and the brahmanas. Cows are very important in all aspects of life, economically, physically, spiritually. Cows are used. They're very, very important animals on this particular earth. And they are also in the spiritual world. They are transcendental cows. And they are very wonderfully decorated. As in the purport, we'll get to it. There'll be more description of the spiritual world by Srila Prabhupada. Very long purport. As I said, we'll take it in sections. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who's tending the cows and yielding all desires, in abodes built with spiritual gems. So there is beauty, there is great valuable gems that are decorated in all the houses and also on the ground. And I didn't say floor of a house, ground, outside houses, literally. Spiritual gems are there. The whole place is very effulgent. And there are millions of, we call them kalpa-vṛkṣa trees, purpose trees. Whatever you desire, it gets fulfilled. So this is our home. And now we are here. And whatever desire that we want, we have to work hard for it. And sometimes based on our karma, it doesn't even come. So we obviously are in a more sorry situation compared to what's in the spiritual world. But we're also in a fortunate situation because at least we get to hear about it. That's why hearing is so important. We get to hear about it, and then we've also been shown the way to get there, how to get there. So Krishna, as Govinda, is always served with reverence, awe and reverence by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis, goddess of fortune. Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says this is from Brahma-samhita, chapter 5 of Brahma-samhita. So, this is the section that we're on, and we'll comment on maybe by this section. First, read it. This is a verse from Brahma-samhita, chapter 5, text 29. The description of this abode of Krishna gives us definite information about the transcendental place where not only is life eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, but there are ample vegetables, milk, jewels, and beautiful homes and gardens tended by lovely damsels who are all goddesses of fortune. So now, the description of the spiritual world is being given. The abode of Krishna. Life is eternal. There is no birth or death. Life operates with the highest happiness that one can get. That is called bliss. And there is no need for schools because everybody is full of knowledge. The soul is like that. Life being eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, that's the quality of a soul. And the soul is a real person, the real living entity. That's us. And all that are alive, we call living entities. Here in the material world, also in the spiritual world. The difference is those in the material world have their souls squished into a very, very small size, atomic size, and then covered by a material body. But in the spiritual world, they are full. The same souls are expanded to their fullness, and they are not with any material anything, like material body. And so this full expansion, the soul can take any form based on what they want to do, that particular one in the spiritual world wants to do to serve the Lord in love. Everything is provided. So all that's there is love, 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 and happiness, and things involving that. Discussions involving that. So Papa will talk more about it. So in this, Krishna Loka is the topmost planet in the spiritual sky. It's the farthest from us. And below that, Krishna Loka, or Golok Vrindavan is also called same planet. There are innumerable planets who are also spiritual. All of them are. All of them are effulgent, as is Golok Vrindavan. So, Lord Brahma saw this first by Narayan. Narayan showed him the Vaikuntha spheres. After he had gone through tapasya, which Garbhodakshaya Vishnu told him to go through. And when the Lord was satisfied, Lord Vishnu was satisfied with him, then Vishnu and Narayan, same personality, they showed the Vaikuntha planets to Lord Brahma. Then, later, by the grace of Krishna, he was shown this particular planet, Krishna Loka. And by the way, That is the planet that Srila Prabhupada is preparing us to go to. It is the most versatile of all planets in terms of relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's an analogy here. Srila Prabhupada is saying this place, the way Lord Brahma received it, it's like the closest thing to us is like television. The images from the camera are in a particular location, but it is beamed and it can travel to where we are, and we receive it in our television sets. So it's like it is, for Lord Brahma's perception, this is how it was showed to him. So it was like Lord Brahma was watching on transcendental TV. The Vaikuntha planets being showed to him, and then later on, that particular planet, Goloka, Vrindavan, or Krishna Loka. So then after that, then he put the Brahma Samhita. Samhita means compilation, the compilation of Brahma. One song, which one of the texts, which is for Brahma Samhita, text 29, now here in cintāmaṇi-prakara-sadmasu as chapter 5, text 22. So the material modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they have no influence in the spiritual world, in any of the planets in the spiritual world. It's only here, in the material world. And of the three, goodness, passion, and ignorance, as it says here, there is goodness, which is the best one. And devotees at the material level, even while we're here as conditioned souls, we are supposed to live in the mode of goodness. A little bit of it is described here. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 42, which I won't get to, but that is the reference. More is described about the nature of mode of goodness. But there's enough described here. Truthfulness, mental equilibrium, that is steadiness, cleanliness, control of the senses, simplicity, knowledge, strong faith in the Lord, and the knowledge of spiritual science. There's more also in the Bhagavad Gita. So it even talks about, yes, we should know jnana, knowledge of the scriptures, but more important is the application of it, how to apply it. Nectar of Devotion also talks about that, even puts the classes of people, first class devotee, second class devotee, third class devotee, describes all of that. And the first class devotee is actually one who knows the scriptures and also can, in fact, reason and even come up with arguments based on what the scripture talks about. But more importantly, they live it. They walk their talk. That's first class. Second class may not know much about scriptures, but they know the application, and they again, Vigyan, how to live a spiritual life. They know that. They don't have such scholarly knowledge of scriptures. And then the third class devotee doesn't know either one of them, doesn't know the scriptures, and doesn't really live the life fully. But the third class can go to second class, and second class can go to first class, as we desire. It's all by desire. So all of these described here in mode of goodness is material goodness. This is here in the material world. In the spiritual world, there is pure goodness, not contaminated by anything. So all of these qualities that are described for mode of goodness in the material world are mixed with passion, sometimes even ignorance, but especially passion, because people want adoration, they want distinction. And so when they do something good, they still want, everybody to hear about it. I did this, I did that. See many examples. I won't get into the examples, but all you have to do is just look around you and see names on buildings and so on. That just shows you. The person donated for the building, and then their name is on the building. Therefore, touting the glories of that particular person for what they did. This is material goodness, even though something good was done by that person, contributing to the construction of that particular building. But they want praise. The devotee is not looking for praise at all. Doesn't look for popularity. Doesn't look for so many followers. If it happens, it happens. But they don't go out of their way to try to, get so many people to get to know about them, like it's happening in YouTube now. How many views I get. The motivation is the more views, the more money the person gets. So that's material goodness. We are supposed to live with those things, not in our lives. Transcendental goodness. And we can get there. It is not important. It is not impossible for anyone to be at the transcendental level with the help of Lord Chaitanya. So no material planet, not even Brahmaloka, is comparable in quality to the spiritual planets, as Prabhupada says here. Here in the material world, there's ignorance, there's misery, there's egoism, there's anger, there's envy. But in the spiritual world, these things are not there. So everything in the material world is created and is created at a certain time. And the Lord actually puts into motion time. And it's all based on the quality of passion. Passion is the one that gives creativity in the material world. And that's why Lord Brahma is actually the controlling deity for the mode of passion. And he's also a creator. He's also a secondary creator because the first creation comes from Lord Mahavishnu. That's whose paws the universes come out of. And he also establishes time. That's why sometimes some people ask, well, but God, how did he come to be? Because we live based on time, past, present, future. So sometime way in the past, then the Lord came to be. But what we need to understand is time is established for the material world. This time, which is based on past, present, and future, that's for material world deliberately set up by Mahavishnu. It doesn't operate in the spiritual world. That's why we can't understand that God is timeless. Because this is the life we live. And with these minds, we just used to past, present, and future. Therefore, past, there was a certain time. And time is an event marker. I had to explain that when I was teaching at the college level. It's an event marker because if you look in the dictionary and say, what's the definition of time? The dictionary doesn't explain it very well. It doesn't. It tried to, but it's simply an event marker. It marks when something happened. That's why we have birthdays, the time we were born. And a year from that time, exactly, we celebrate one birthday and keep adding the years based on our time here. But that way doesn't exist in the spiritual world. So we have to be there to kind of get a sense of it. Sometimes some things, because of these minds that we're using, material minds we're using, it doesn't quite compute well in it. How can that be possible? But once we get out and we're using now the senses and the mind of the soul, these things will become very clear. Quality of passion is absent in the Vaikuntha planets. So there's nothing created. Everything there is eternally existent. And there's no mode of ignorance because nobody does bad things. They're all serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And people try, as Sri Prabhupada is saying, people try in this material world to make things permanent. But it's not possible. And things are also mixed, even the good things, with mode of passion and ignorance. So nothing can exist permanently. It's not possible, no matter what we do. So there is no experience of what's in the spiritual world, that is eternity, bliss, and knowledge, full knowledge here, no. But this is exactly what's in the spiritual world. Everyone is eternally blissful, knowledgeable, or cognizant, that you see. Now, also, for me, this is good information for everybody. Everything can speak. This is the spiritual world now. Everything can speak and move and hear. All the senses are active. It's not like here in the material world where for some types of bodies that are non-human, they can't, use their senses. Stones, they cannot hear, but the transcendental stone in the spiritual world has all the senses. And not only can they hear and use the other senses, they can also move too. In other words, there's no restriction, like the way it is in some bodies here in the material world. So there is no past, present, and future, as we talked about. That doesn't have any influence. So the influence of Maya, the total external energy, to make us more materialistic and forget our relationship with God is also absent there, as Prabhupada explains. So we are all related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality. In quality. So that is Satchidananda. The Lord's body is Satchidananda, full of eternality and bliss and knowledge. We are also like that at the soul level, the real person. But quantity-wise, we come nowhere near Krishna. We're very insignificant compared to Krishna or Lord Vishnu. And so there's more, way more that the Lord can do that we cannot do, even though our quality is the same. The analogy is given like the drop of water from an ocean has the same qualities as the qualities or the properties of the ocean. But the ocean is much bigger. Therefore, the ocean can do so many things that a drop of water cannot do. A drop of water cannot sustain the life of a fish. It can't. The fish can't even swim in it. If there's only a drop of water that's left, that fish is dead. But in the water, it can support fish, it can support boats, it can support submarines, it can support all of those things that a drop of water can't do. But still, the quality, the ingredient in a minute form is in that drop of water as it is in the ocean, in the same proportion. The same proportion. So that's how we relate. That's how we connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's also why we are part and parcels of the Lord. So that's our constitutional makeup, and our constitution position is to render transcendental loving service to the Lord. And that's what we're practicing here. We have forgotten how to do that. So by the mercy of Guru and Guranga, we're being taught. So all of us are in practice mode, relating to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in service. Because that's what we'll do when we go back for all time. We will be serving the Lord transcendentally. And there'll be exchange based on the relationship we have with the Lord between ourselves and other residents, and then between ourselves and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord has a relationship, a special relationship with every single living entity in the world, in the spiritual world, although there are classifications of 5 major rasas or relationships. But within that, whatever relationship we're in, there is a special aspect of it that the Lord relates to every single living entity. Because that's how personal the Lord is. So, Srila Prabhupada spends some time talking about those people who think that, there's formlessness and nothingness. We won't spend too much time there. Spiritual world is different from here in terms of it being the reality and the material world being a perverted reflection of that reality. So we get a sense, a little bit of what the spiritual world is like, because what is here is there. It's there, that's why it's here in a perverted form or reflection. anything, if you see a reflection, the reality is there. Otherwise, it can't be the reflection of it. So that's what we live here. But in the spiritual world, because it's effulgent, there is no need of sun, moon, all those kinds of things, including electricity. And Krishna describes in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, anyone who goes there, they don't come back to this place. So the residents of Vaikuntha now, a little bit more about them. They have black complexions, but they are also effulgent, and they're extremely attractive. So there isn't anything like the way that they are in this material world. What we call beauty is like nothing to them. Their beauty is at a whole different level. And everything around is also very beautiful. Now, in the Vaikuntha planets, the Lord wears yellow clothing, and for the most part, they also do. The residents there. They are very attractive. Their bodies are delicate. This is all described here by Sri Prabhupada. And those in the Vaikuntha planets, they have 4 hands decorated with the same things that the Lord holds: conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. So Srila Prabhupada goes into details how their chests are so nice, broad, and other parts, there are some varieties. Is there red coral type complexions are also there, but for the most part, it's black and very, 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 very shiny, very effulgent type bodies that they have. Everything they wear, the jewels and so on, very, very, very costly, very, very high level, nicely crafted spiritual type jewels. Everyone has it. Everyone has so much available. In other books in the Shastra, it describes that in the spiritual world, every single living entity has access to wealth that is more than even the wealth in a universe. More wealth. So we talk about trying to make money here or trying to be wealthy here. What we have here is a joke compared to what is just available for every single living entity in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada also describes that there are airplanes, but they don't make noise like the airplanes here. They don't fall down from the sky. They don't crash at any time. Those things never happens. All of those things are troubles that happen in the material world. Now, one thing about the airplanes, it's not like they need transportation with the airplanes. They do not need transportation with the airplanes. Like we need our transportation here to get from one place to another. The airplanes are just for fun. Because the quality of the soul is that when the soul thinks about a particular place, they show up there immediately. So they don't need a spiritual airplane to take them there. The spiritual airplanes are just for fun. It's for Sangha, for association. They get together like that, and then the plane is, and then they just have fun, sing songs and so on those. It's just part of their pastime. That's what they're really there for. But our material planes, well, they're only perfect up to a point and definitely needed for transportation. And it's not free, as you well know. You have to pay for it too. Even if you own one, you have to maintain it. It's very expensive. But everything is free in the spiritual world. And they're also alive. They are also alive. They're not dead things. So everything in the spiritual world is alive. So Srila Prabhupada just puts in, just for the fun of it, it says, these airplanes don't fly business executives and politicians and planning commission and so on as passengers. They don't carry any postal bags for deliveries from one country to another or one place to another. They don't carry cargo. You don't travel with anything. That's another thing, the spiritual world. They don't have to travel with anything. Because what they desire, it comes. So this is what we are sitting here missing. Hmm? As it says here, we talked about it already, but it says here, the planes are for pleasure trips only. Hmm? And the residents of Vaikuntha fly with them with their consorts. Hmm? So it's like that. Hmm? Male and female consorts, they get in these planes and then have fun. But actually, just like we have these minds, and if you've been someplace before, you can sit in another place. See, some people are from India, or some people have traveled to India. So they're sitting in America, but they can think of India, and immediately all pictures of what they know about India come to their mind. So the mind, even the mind we have here, can travel to India in a split second. Immediately think about it, and the mind is there. This is how fast the soul is, but the soul can actually think of anywhere in the spiritual world and be there immediately. Actually be there. For us, our physical body is sitting in one place and the mind is just there. Mm-hmm. But for them, the soul actually can be there. So they don't need transportation. That's why Papa said these planes are just for pleasure trips. Moving around while they get together and have fun, as they have fun on the grounds too. So there's so much opulence. The Vaikuntha planets in the sky, again, some comparisons to the Prabhupada says, so it's 3-to-1. The material sky is just 1/4 and 3/4 the spiritual sky. So we can just make simple math to the planets in the spiritual sky are about 3 times the number of planets in the material sky. So the materialist, and here we are, our situation, this is what actually concerns us. Prabhupada says the poor materialist is busy making political adjustments on the planet, and our planet is most insignificant in God's creation. And to say nothing of this planet, the whole universe with its innumerable planets and galaxies and so on, is compared to like a single mustard seed in a bag full of mustard seeds. So the size of these universes here is actually insignificant compared to what's in the spiritual world. And what is contained in the spiritual world is in its perfection, whereas what's in the material world is all perverted. And they are reflections. Even the sun is a reflection. The sun itself here in the material world is a reflection of the rays from the Lord, the Brahma-jyoti. Now, all of these, as we're talking about, I hope we're thinking this is what Srila Prabhupada wants us to do, to go there. Now, who wouldn't want to? So, yes, in the material world, there are 3 levels of planetary systems. There's the higher planetary systems, there's the medium planetary systems. In this universe, in this planet, we're in the medium planetary system, or one planet of the medium planetary systems. And then there are lower planets. So Srila Prabhupada spent some time talking about, all right, so yeah, some yogis, depending on how they how or what the mantras that they do to move the life air, they can in fact go to whatever planet that they want to go to. They can. So that's there still for us to learn. But we are trying to live this life, can't go anywhere, don't know about any of these. But for devotees, we have been given a very simple way, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, to bypass even the higher material planets and go to the spiritual world. And not only the spiritual world, but the highest planet and the most versatile planet, all planets in existence, Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. That's why we are very fortunate, literally, very, very, very fortunate to be a devotee. So the conclusion is, even though one thing, a yogi Srila Prabhupada says we should be yogis. But in bhakti yogis, serving the Lord, practicing how to serve the Lord so we can go to the highest planet there ever is, in terms of quality and level of enjoyment. Now, so Krishna consciousness is an attempt to break our ignorance about life and at the same time give us the proper tools with which to leave this miserable condition. The best part of Krishna consciousness is that it offers the most enjoyable situation and a place that the soul can be constantly steeped in. This is tremendous happiness. It comes from working on ourselves, chanting the holy name, but chanting with focus. And then the love and the happiness begins to well up in our hearts, because that's where the soul is located. And the super soul is also there in the heart. So there's very little, comparatively, on our part, that effort that we have to put in order to get back to the spiritual world. Very little. Compared to what's available, what we're being asked to do to live a decent life, to chant the holy name, is very little compared to what we get. But bhakti is not an easy giveaway. Krishna can give liberation, but bhakti is not so easy, in that Krishna, once a person becomes a full, pure bhakti yogi, Krishna gives himself. And Krishna is the control of everything there is. But he'll be willing to come to the level of the devotee and relate to him based on what the devotee wants to do to serve him in love. Krishna does that. That's why, even though things have been reduced to the point where we chant 16 rounds and not 64 rounds, which is what was done earlier, until Srila Prabhupada changed that, we still have to put in some effort. And our major effort is to control the senses. And we were talking about it yesterday. And some people, it sounds shocking when you come to Krishna consciousness. Oh, we have to give up sex life. No, you don't. But we do it for the real purpose, and that is for pregnancy. And everybody, practically, I mean, if they really want to open up, tell you this, this was a difficult thing that we had to do. Some devotees talk about it all the time, having to give up sex life. But sex life is not for sense gratification. It's only made that way, made enjoyable, because without it, there will be no reason for women to go through the trials that come in pregnancy. So it's just a bit. There will be some enjoyment when you start off. And that's why these men and women do it. But it's not just for sense gratification. Men know very well that once you go through sex life, that act, there will be the seminal fluid. And that is an indication that pregnancy is supposed to happen. Whether you like it or not, the seminal fluid will come out of the man. So that's what the purpose is. Now, to get away from sense gratification, we have to associate with those who are doing a lot better than us in sense gratification. I mean, in sense control, in sense control, and learn from them. So the real test is a willingness to give up this mundane life that Maya's agents in this world now are trying to get us to stay with by supplying us an endless barrage of products and advertising them to us that it's good for us. The reality is that they're really incarcerating us and causing us to pay even for those things that they come up with. We pay to get more incarcerated. In the spiritual world, everything is free of charge. So even here, what's given free of charge is to control us, to monitor us, to see what we're thinking, so they can keep controlling. That's what's happening here. Everything that's given free is definitely a reason attached to it, and mostly it's about control. So we need to leave this physical and mental jail that we're in now. And it's possible to break free from it if we follow the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Krishna has said it. We can go to his abode and be free and happy forever and never have to come back to this material world. And Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda have showed us what to do in order to go to the abode of Krishna. So then the real question is, do we want to thumb our nose at Bhakti Yoga and stay in this difficult, stinking material life full of dangers at every moment? Or are we prepared to leave it, see it for what it is, and leave it and go back home where there's no danger, no anxiety, and no enjoyment? And enjoyment, no problems, enjoyment forever. That's what everybody is faced with now. The process was more difficult, but Krishna has come as Lord Chaitanya to say, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And you will be able to go back. Just focus on it. That's all. And treat people nicely. Don't be offensive. And you get to go back home out of all of these challenges here. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you. Again, coming on, hearing always helps all of us to improve and see the world for what it is. Spiritual world is absolutely wonderful. And we have to prepare ourselves to go to cut off all of these vices that we're living with. Don't get bogged down by an advanced country giving you one new cell phone after another. It won't take you back. It won't take you back to Godhead. Use it for Krishna conscious stuff. Hare Krishna. So unmute yourself if you want to, throw in a comment or ask a question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance for Sri Prabhupada. I would like to share how powerful this verse is actually. Speaking about the spiritual gem, Cintāmaṇi is the touchstone, the spiritual gem, and how, it's so easily available and so easily given to us if we only take it seriously, and we also pray to Lord Nityananda, to Lord Nrsimhadev, to the deities to protect us so that we don't get swayed away by this material world. Because, here the Lord is being so merciful. Srila Krishnadas Kavira just so nicely explaining the beauty of the spiritual world. And it's not a fairy tale, it's not like we watch a movie and we feel, oh, if I could be in that movie and experience it, and it'll be all good, and I mean, that is not what it is, it's a real deal. But to enter into the kingdom of God, as they say, we have to be qualified. We have to really work on ourselves, and that's the work. Mahatma Prabhu says, we want to go back to Godhead without qualification. We just want to walk in, we don't want to do any work. He says it doesn't work that way. Just in life in general, whether it be, I mean, even to get admission into school, we have to be qualified. Certain grades, certain GPAs, certain subjects, even to apply for a job, we have to be qualified. There are so many things in life. Even to buy a house, we have to be qualified based on credit history. There's so much in this material world that we have to work hard to be qualified, to get our needs met. Why not do that same effort, and that same work and sacrifice to work on ourselves so that we can be qualified to go back to Godhead? That is the key point, is how much do we really want to work on ourselves so that we can go back to Godhead with the qualifications required? Because it's there, it's there. We just got to work on ourselves to gain entry into God's kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very important, yes. And to add one point to it, when we make the effort, we'll get the mercy. When we put in the effort, more effort we put in, the more determined we are in service, the more mercy we get. We get now, and we will also get an opportunity to go back to Godhead. as we described how wonderful the place is. It's only a short description of it. There's so much more that could be talked about in the spiritual world. But it's there for everybody that puts in the effort. Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to share or ask questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to the Gurus of the Kalpa. Very nice class, Prabhu. Went from you went through the purport, like one by one, and then we talked about it. So when you were reading the purport, at one point, Prabhupada is mentioning that the highest level of mode of goodness seen over here is are the qualities that were given, like truthfulness and other things.
Yeah.
But so yesterday I was hearing one point from Prabhupada. Prabhupada was mentioning, even if you are pious, even if you are doing pious activities in karma kand, but one will still be forced to do sinful activities. The world is made in such a way, like even if you are going outside the house, or even if in your own rooms, it doesn't matter. There are microorganisms. You will be like forced to kill them. Basically, you are stepping on them, so you are killing them. So that's how the material world is made. So he says, like we have to be Krishna conscious. We have to be spiritual. That's when, like we have to we have to have our activities, so that these activities, whatever sinful activities, like are happening without our knowledge, will be like given forgiven kind of. That was one point I remembered. And then another point, the same like the next line comes, that all these mode of goodness in the material world is mixed with passion and other things. So
we talked about
I remember another class where the devotee was talking about this sinking of the Titanic. Was manufactured, or it was designed to be the huge, like or the like it was competing with other cruisers at that time. It was gigantic, to like show the world that this how gigantic I am making this Titanic. It was like kind of out of envy, or out of that like passion, to show the world that this is the best. And when it was created, that by the designer, or by the creators of Titanic, that this is the cruise liner which even God cannot sink. And the moment it started, like within just like I think within days, uh, in the first voyage itself, it was sunk. So by the iceberg, like it is like something. Because we don't challenge the Lord like that. It does, and God doesn't need to do anything, like He will just like do that. And then like how one thing I remembered, when Mataji was talking, need to qualify to go somewhere. But the thing is, before qualification, there is a need to understand the situation, that we need to go there. This is not the place for us to stay in the material world. That is the reason many times we are not able to put our efforts. I think Radhesham Prabhu talks about this point. Even Prabhupada talks about it, that there are like different kinds of people. Some people are looking for immediate benefits. Like if I work today, I will get like some amount of money, I will use it. That's end. Some people look at long terms, like we are talking about, like study hard, and then you will have a good job, and the rest of the life will be easier. And then some people, like spiritual people, are looking at like for eternity. So that was one thing I remembered. So yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. You can add.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Very, very important points, and your own realizations and what you were told by Srila Prabhupada and Radheshyam Prabhu. Just wonderful. So there's also another okay, since this person is writing, I'm not sure the name but anyway, I'll say what she says.
Carlos
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Carlos Prabhu.
Who is it?
Carlos Prabhu. Carlos.
Oh, Carlos. Okay, Carlos. Oh, all right. So he put the last two letters of his name. All right. So Carlos, Hare Krishna, Stefan basis is called Srila Prabhupada. He says Hare Krishna is kind of loud where I'm at, but my question is, if one goes to Krishna, they cannot leave. How did we leave in the first place? Or is Krishna looking at our home? All right. So how did we leave in the first place? So we were in the spiritual world. We were envious of the Lord, wanting the Lord's position. This is a short version of it. Wanting the Lord's position because the Lord gets all the attention. Everybody's serving him. And since we have free will, we decided, well, it would be nice to be in Krishna's position. In other words, we weren't satisfied with what we had for so much that had been given to us. So that thought got us out of the spiritual world here and brought us here, because here is where you can lord it or try to control. The Lord is supreme controller. But if you want Lord position, then that's like saying we want to be the supreme controller. That can't be. So we still insisted on wanting to be that way. Then the Lord put us in the material world to try to be that way here. So that's why people try to control. Every time people try the artha, the economic development, which is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. With jasthi or work, then economic development, then sense gratification. So that's what's here. People trying to develop so that they can be greater, they have greater control in whatever arena that they are in. It's frustrating, as we talked about, so many dangers are here. So Krishna says in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the one who goes back to the spiritual world never returns here. When you go to the spiritual world and see the life there, right now we've forgotten what it is like. And this text describes, Srila Prabhupada's purpose describes so much more. So we can jar our minds. We don't remember because we've been long gone. We're not even using the real mind of the soul. We're using a material type mind. We don't remember anything. And so when we go back to the spiritual world, this will be this material world will be very, very distasteful to us. Nobody in their right mind is going to want to come back here after what they see in the material world, the spiritual world, and when we return to the spiritual world. So Krishna says the person that goes doesn't come back. There are people who wanted to be at Krishna's control level and they got put here. But after going through what we've been through here, some people's eyes are now awakened yet. They're thinking that they can do wonders in the material world, but they'll find out. Those who are intelligent will know that material world is no place to stay. It's a place of difficulty. It's a place of wars. It's a little sense gratification, but so much trouble is here. But once you get back to spiritual world and see how easy it is, life is, and how loving everything is, there's no reason to want to come back. So yeah, how do we leave in the first place? We are envying the Supreme Personality of Godhead's position. And that's why we got put here. Now, when we go back for what we've learned in the material world and how difficult it is, nobody in their right mind is going to want to put themselves in that same kind of thought of envying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there won't be any need to leave the spiritual world. So we'll stay there. Krishna already knows that. Because he knows past, present, and future. And so he made the bold statement, nobody that goes back to the spiritual world ever returns to the material world. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? All right. If not, then thank you for coming. I think we are almost at the end of the week. So stay safe and very much, put your mind in Krishna consciousness. Chant the holy name practically all the time, on the beats and also off the beats, practically all day. Chant the holy name so you can remember Krishna. It's very, very critical to remember Krishna because this is how we're going to be able to go back to the spiritual world, especially remembering Krishna at the time of death. Vanchakalpatarubhishya kripa sunibhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again for coming. Hare Krishna.